the government doesn't need your money. That's the uncomfortable truth. It wants it. It asks for it, but it doesn't need it. Because when governments run out of tax money, they don't stop spending. They borrow. And not reluctantly, not as a last resort. They borrow enthusiastically, almost lovingly. Every year, governments around the world pile on trillions in new debt, not during wars, not during emergencies, during normal times. Quietly, casually, systematically. So here's the real question this video is about. Why do governments prefer debt over taxes when debt eventually has to be paid back? To understand that, we need to rewind. Imagine a country as a household. It earns money, it spends money. If it spends more than it earns, it should go broke. That's what we're taught. But governments don't live in that world. They live in a stranger one. A world where spending more than you earn is not a mistake. It's a feature. Right now, this topic matters more than ever. Because global government debt is not high. It's historic. In many major economies, government debt is larger than the entire economy itself, more than a full year of everything the country produces. And yet, taxes aren't rising nearly as fast as spending. Why? Because debt does something. Taxes can't. Debt hides pain. Let's start simple. When a government raises taxes, everyone notices. Paychecks shrink, prices jump, voters complain, businesses push back. Tax hikes are loud. They're political landmines. They show up instantly, and they come with a receipt that has the government's name on it. Debt is different. Debt is quiet. When a government borrows, nothing obvious happens to you that day. No new tax line on your salary slip, no angry press conference, no protest outside Parliament. Just numbers moving silently in bond markets most people never look at. Debt lets governments spend today and send the bill into the future. And that future voter doesn't get a vote today. That's the first reason governments love debt. It delays consequences. But that's just the surface. Let's talk about how the system actually works. When a government wants money, it has two main options. Option 1, raise taxes. Option 2, issue bonds. A bond is basically an IOU. The government says, lend me money now, I'll pay you back later, plus interest. Who buys these bonds? Banks, pension funds, insurance companies, foreign governments, and sometimes the government's own central bank. That last one is important. We'll come back to it. When bonds are sold, the government gets cash immediately. It can build roads, pay salaries, fund subsidies, fight wars, win elections. And the cost? Not today. Years later. Sometimes decades later. And by then, the politicians who made the decision are gone. Debt is politically invisible in the short term. Taxes are not. But there's a deeper reason. Debt doesn't just delay pain, it spreads it. When taxes go up, the pain is concentrated. You feel it directly. When debt goes up, the cost is diffused through inflation, through currency devaluation, through lower future public services, through higher future taxes that no one connects back to today. Debt is like fog. You don't see the cliff until you're already falling. Now here's where the story gets uncomfortable. Most people believe governments borrow from the market. That's half true. In reality, modern government debt is deeply entangled with central banks. Let's say the government issues bonds. Banks buy them. Those banks then use those bonds as ultra-safe collateral. They can borrow more money against them, leverage them, multiply them. And if demand for those bonds ever weakens, the central bank steps in. It buys them with newly created money. This is how debt quietly turns into money creation. Not overnight, not dramatically, gradually, almost politely. This is why governments can run massive deficits without immediate collapse. The system is designed to absorb it, until it isn't. Now let's address a common myth. Debt is bad because it must be paid back. That's not actually how governments think about it. Governments don't aim to pay back debt. They aim to roll it over. Old debt gets replaced with new debt. Again, and again, and again. As long as the economy grows, as long as interest rates stay manageable, as long as confidence holds, this works. And for decades, it has worked. That success is exactly why debt became addictive, because taxes have a ceiling. You can only raise them so much before the system rebels. Debt feels limitless, at least for a while. And here's the quiet irony. Governments often justify debt by saying it helps the poor, but inflation, one of debt's side effects, hits the poor hardest. Rising prices are a tax that doesn't vote, doesn't debate, doesn't get announced. It just shows up at the grocery store. Debt-funded spending feels compassionate today and regressive tomorrow. But there's another reason governments love debt. Debt fuels growth narratives. When governments borrow and spend, GDP rises. Construction projects start, jobs appear, consumption increases. On paper, everything looks better. Politicians can point to growth numbers and say, "See, it's working." Debt makes success measurable in the short term. Taxes make sacrifice visible immediately. One wins elections, the other loses them. Now let's zoom out. If debt is so convenient, why doesn't it collapse the system? Why hasn't everything already fallen apart? Because debt is relative. A country that issues debt in its own currency has an advantage. It can always create more money to pay it. That doesn't mean there's no cost. It means the cost shows up differently. Instead of default, you get dilution. The value of money slowly erodes. Savers lose, asset owners win. This quietly reshapes society. Debt doesn't just fund governments, it redistributes wealth toward those closest to the money creation process. Banks, large institutions, asset holders, away from wage earners. This isn't a conspiracy, it's arithmetic. Now here's the moment where the math stops being polite. As debt grows, interest payments grow too. At first, it's manageable. Then one day, interest becomes one of the largest items in the government budget. Not schools, not healthcare, not infrastructure. Interest. At that point, debt stops being a tool and starts becoming the master. Governments then borrow more just to service existing debt. That's when the system becomes fragile. Not because debt exists, but because confidence does. As long as people believe the government can manage it, the system holds. Once belief cracks, everything moves fast. Capital leaves, currency weakens, inflation accelerates. And suddenly, the pain that was delayed arrives all at once. This is why governments walk a tightrope. They need debt, but not too much. They need growth, but not inflation. They need confidence, but not scrutiny. So why do governments still choose debt over taxes? Because taxes force honesty. Debt allows storytelling. Taxes say, we can't afford this unless you pay now. Debt says, we can afford this. Trust us. And trust is politically cheaper than truth. But here's the final twist. Debt isn't inherently evil. Used carefully, it can fund real progress. The problem isn't debt. The problem is that the incentives reward excess. Politicians enjoy the benefits now. The costs belong to someone else later. And later keeps getting pushed further away. So the next time you hear a government promise big spending without big taxes, ask yourself a simple question. If debt is so painless, why does every society that abuses it eventually regret it? And more importantly, how much of today's comfort is being borrowed from a future that didn't consent?